Hey, it's Jason ODB, the Lincoln Addict, hitting you with another review. This one's going to be Bring a Trailer, 1962 Lincoln Continental Convertible that you see here in front of you. I do want to remind you, hit up LincolnAddict.com. I have white, blue stickers available. Also, I do have black shirts available. I'm hoping that they're going to print from Graphic Disorder and ship this week to me. I'll let everyone know once they're on their way to myself, and then I'll get them shipped out, and then you'll receive a tracking number for all of the orders that go out. So thanks for the support. Now, it is getting a little stormy here in Florida, so you might be able to hear some of the thunder. But with this review, I'm going to go through this 62 Lincoln Continental Convertible. And if you recall, one of the cool things that I like about doing these is oftentimes these are active listings. So you can go out and check it out, and if it's something you are curious about or are looking to purchase, you can jump in and buy it, or at least bid on it, rather. So I did look at this one briefly, and it does look like a pretty nice car overall, so let's kind of dive in. 62 convertible, it talks about it was produced October 61 and acquired by the current owner out of Nevada in 2015, so they've had it about 7 years. Finished in white over a red interior, 430 engine with the trans, of course, the factory trans. It talks about the 15-inch wire wheels. That is a little bit different, so we'll talk about it. The work completed during prior ownership included a repaint and interior change, so we definitely want to look at that. Here you've got a rear three-quarter shot you can see. Looks pretty good overall. Finished from the factory in Sultana white. The car was repainted during the prior ownership, as they mentioned earlier. Power-operated black convertible top, and then all of the kind of the normal stuff that you'll see from one of these listings. American Classic white wall tires are mounted on 15-inch wire wheels, which are equipped with 3-eared knockoff spinner caps. Although they're not factory correct, I actually like, the wheels don't look bad to me. That's something that can easily be changed out if you so choose or desire at that point. A set of 4 factory-style full wheel covers will accompany the sale, so you get the hubcaps basically. Standard equipment includes power-assisted steering and brakes, the latter of which were serviced with a replacement master cylinder in 2019. We'll look at that as well. Now, they did mention that the interior, from what I understand, was like totally done in a different color. So the VIN number will show that, actually the VIN plate, rather, we could kind of look that up. But what I would say is anytime they basically say that the interior's been redone, you just want to kind of look at it and make sure that it's going to suit your needs based upon what you're looking to buy. So, there's going to be some people that may not want the interior changed, right? Obviously, you got some people that might want just a factory car, all original, things like that. But, we'll look at it a little bit more. The red monochromatic interior treatment replaces the factory light honey beige trim 84. So again, they've kind of done the legwork so you don't have to look it up, including the replacement seat, upholstered, door panels, dash, carpeting. Additional equipment include a dash-mounted headlight dimmer and AM/FM radio. The seller notes the analog clock, the power door locks, and the HVAC controls are inoperable. So more on that. Factory instrument cluster, instrumentation, 120 mile per hour speedometer, analog clock, and it shows about 69,000 miles. What we can see here, and I am going to zoom in here. I think I can do it on the Mac I'm using. Basically, pretty clean engine bay. A couple things I note is it does have the 3-port, so that's fantastic. They did mention the master cylinder, I believe, had been changed. I think they said, or brake booster, but the master cylinder does look newer. Again, it is a single reservoir. This is something you definitely would want to change to a dual. It's not that hard. Any kind of mechanic shop could, for the most part, change it. But that's something you really wouldn't want to risk leaving a single, because, again, if it goes out, then you have no brakes. Here, because it's a non-AC car, although they mention the HVAC controls, it's not an AC car. The air conditioning compressor would be right here. Typically, you'll have folks that'll kind of say, well, you don't really need to have a fan shroud, especially if it's on an AC car. Look, it really depends where you live. I think down here in the South, you really got to have a fan shroud on here, and that's with or without the air condition blowing. I mean, these engines produce a lot of heat, and I've had some people say that, again, without air conditioning, you don't have to worry about it. I would put a fan shroud on here. It doesn't look like there's one. I mean, I can see there's not one here. But, that's something that I would definitely do. There's a lot of talk. I have an electric fan on my 64 with a factory fan shroud, and, man, it really, really helps. But, this might be a car you would pick up and drive, and if there's no issue, then you're good to go. You would want to use a digital thermometer on the engine block up here to double check everything. They kind of do that on one of the videos or kind of show that they are. But that's one thing that I would recommend that you do is definitely put a fan shroud. You can call Lincoln Land and get the nice metal one and have that on there. And then this, I believe, is the setup here where the fan mounts. I think there's two different fans, if I remember correctly. But there's not a what's it called? There's not the main piece on here because it's not an AC car. But you can go and you can change that out. And I'm drawing a blank. Fan clutch. I couldn't remember. But this is kind of the basic setup because it's not an AC car. So that's what I'm getting at. You can change this stuff up. But again, if they've been driving it and it hasn't overheated, hey, that's a good thing. The front hinged, of course, hood comes open to show the 430, and it talks about some of the 300 horsepower and whatnot. Looking under the car, so this is fantastic. I want to give a tip of the cap. I don't know if these folks watch my videos, but they've done a good job of presenting the car so far, and here they go. They got it on a lift, right? We can see all underneath the car. This is fantastic. Even if someone has came in here at some point during this restoration and resprayed all this, I'm not against that, okay? I like something that's clean underneath and whatnot. The thing is, we want to see detailed photos. So I could tell you, looking in here and stuff, this looks like a pretty clean car. So far, I'm liking what I see. Additional photos are presented in the gallery below, of course, which is fantastic. Here you see the Vin badge in the door. And, this isn't anything to worry about. I mean, you can see here, it looks like it's, the factory one. It hasn't been changed. And then the printing on here for Lincoln Continental will tend to, rub off or be sanded off over the course of time. But, of course, you've got your main VIN here, and then you've got the other items that kind of tell the story on the make and, the features, which we're going to look at now on the car. 62 Continental Convertible built in Wixom. They were all built in Wixom, as John Cashman has reinforced. 430 V8, 2-carb. It was a two-barrel carburetor in that year. Here you have 4-door convertible, Sultana White, I believe is how you pronounce it, 84. So, again, they've done the legwork, the honey beige light leather upholstery, the date that it was assembled, and a couple other items there. Now, I do want to come back to the videos in a minute. They do have some good videos. So, again, tip of the cap to the seller. They've done a great job. Here, I'm going to zoom back out. So you've got your front three-quarter shot. Everything looks good. I always like to look at the spacing in here. You will tend to sometimes, even on a nice car, you'll see that it's kind of tight in there, and that's normal. But, again, I always like to look to see, does it look like it's, pretty nice, or if it's been in any kind of fender benders. Here I'm looking at the dog leg to kind of see, and they're typically, oftentimes, you'll see it will look just like that. Oftentimes it's not perfect right in there, but that'll usually be a tell if they've used a lot of body filler and things like that. My assumption is no, being that it was a car out west, but you just never really know. Here you can see where the fuel filler is in these years, and you can kind of see that isn't fully pushed up. But the fuel filler, for those that don't know, was in this area in 61, 2, and 3, I think it is, and then 4 and 5 was moved to the rear quarter panel. when the overall look that I think of this car is really, really nice. There's going to be some comments from people that are like, "Oh, I don't like the wheels, the interior, this and that." You're always going to have that, but remember, if you're out there looking, you're trying to find the best car for you, right? For your money. So, oftentimes a car is not going to be perfect, but finding the best one for your budget or, for you and your family is really what's key. Here, it's kind of hard to tell if there's any kind of, ripples, but I tell you, overall, the bumpers look really nice, and this car just looks real clean, and I think that's just the reflection. They do show a lot of close-ups of like little dings and dents in these what they're called peak moldings here, and that's kind of standard stuff. I mean, you could spend money in having all those dents and dings taken out if you so choose. Here, you've got some rolling shots. We know it's a 62 from, I call it the longer rectangles. That's the easiest way to tell, the different years apart. 61's very distinctive, kind of has that Thunderbird feel. 62 is this one with the long rectangles. 63 is the smaller squares, and then 64 is kind of in its own, you can tell that right away from looking at the front bumper and grille area. Here you can see, again, it's not perfect, and I appreciate a seller that's willing to kind of show this detail. Blowing these cars apart, as I've said before, and spending a lot of time and money it adds up. So, being that this car, do we know, was all the trim taken off and things like that? You never really know, but I'm still a fan of buying a car in this condition because, you can get in, you can drive it, you're not worried about, it being like a perfect showroom car. And of course, if you want to take it to that level, by all means, you're able to do that. Ironic, this car, I think this is C4 Shoots. I've shared a couple of his photos on Instagram, so he does some pretty cool stuff. Don't know who he is, but here you can see dents and dings, kind of showing some of the detail here, the spacing with the door to the fender. A lot of times, this is exactly how these door handles look, so I'd rather this kind of be original than like cheap rechroming. Of course, you could get them rechromed, absolutely, but, again, I'm a fan of kind of the originality whenever possible. Again, you can see some of the detail here where the peak moldings are at, kind of like the paint chipping and things like that. It's good that they're showing the detail. This is, this is a super nice car so far from what I'm seeing. So I'm kind of going through the photos. Just taking a look at everything. There's a lot of photos here is what I'll tell you. Again, more detail. Even if this car, let's say you're looking at it and you're going, you know what, this is going to be my car. I'm thinking I'm going to bid on it. Have someone go look at it if you can. I saw a comment from someone that apparently is in the same town as this person, and the person said, hey, I live here. I'd love to come see the car. But what you can't tell is when there's been a respray, hopefully they've just taken a pretty nice solid car and just literally done that and resprayed it or, repainted it. The thing you just never know underneath is have they went and added body filler and stuff, and hopefully not. I'm not saying that they have. You can have a body guy go and use some of the tools that they use to check to see, underneath. There's some different things and techniques that they use. I don't think they can always use like a magnet, I think is oftentimes what people say, but there's different techniques that they have to kind of, hopefully see if there's been a lot of body filler and stuff added. But so far, looks like a pretty true car. This is kind of normal stuff here that you'll see on these convertibles. I don't recall if they said the top had been redone, but you can get all of the top material for about $1,000 to $1,200 with all the little dressing things that you need. And then having someone install it, believe it or not, convertible folks can install these. I'd prefer to have a certain person do it if you knew someone, but you can, depending on where you live, you can find a person to install a new top for you. I've heard the prices ranging, but you can see this isn't perfect. The cool thing is, a lot of times if you own a convertible, you're going to have the top down anyways, so I've known people that have had some cars that, you kind of go, yeah, the top could be changed, but the top's only up if you're at a car show and it starts raining. Here you can see the moldings look really, really good, so that's a good thing. And like I said, I love how these things fit, the fit and finish when they're factory and haven't really been monkeyed with or taken off. So here you got some of the money shots, 4 doors open. You have the top down. I am looking here too. So, most people are going to be like, wow, man, nice car. You want to kind of look underneath here. And I'll tell you, the doors underneath, from what I can see, look good. If you were in person, you'd want to kind of inspect and see how rotted are these moldings. Are they very deteriorating? Because, again, these moldings can kind of get pretty expensive. These actually look pretty good. And again, if I was here, I would be looking underneath here to see if, is there any rust up in that little corner area. Again, so far from what I can see, it looks really, really good. You've kind of got the money shot here in terms of overhead. What I would tell you is when the interior colors are changed, oftentimes all of this is dyed. I'm not an interior expert. I have friends that do custom interior and things like that. A lot of times, if you're okay with this, like to me, it looks nice. I mean, I love red interior. I've got a 65 with red interior. If you were very wanting something very specific and things like that, you would want to get your eyes on it to make sure that you'd be fine with this. Again, because oftentimes the dash is going to have to be dyed. If you watch Car Fix, I did a review recently on the episode they did with the Continental. They dye some of those interior panels. It is a very good method, but you just wouldn't want to get the car and be like, I can't live with some of this stuff. I want to change it and things like that. By all means, you can change it, but if you, depending on your budget, is what I'm getting at. You'd have to go back. But again, from some of these photos here, you're going to see, the way it looks, it doesn't look 100% like an original car, and that's up to you to decide if that's what you want. Here you can see a little bit of that coating that I've talked about. These clusters come out pretty easy, and you can actually polish this up with a quadruple zero steel wool and some of the Brasso or good metal polish, and all of this stuff will come off. This is a factory thing. So to me, I like the originality of this. If you were looking to really detail this car over the course of time, you'd want to kind of maybe come in here and use that technique. I'll do some videos on that in the future. Little piece missing here, stuff you can pick up from the usual suspects. And, to me, one of my favorite things is coming in here and polishing all this stuff. This is often how it will look, just like this. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's just showing the originality of it. I've never owned a 61, 2, or 3, but my understanding is if it's an AC car, I believe, I'm going from memory, this won't be the ashtray, then you'll have your air vents here. So again, it's not an air-conditioned car. One thing that caught my eye is, I'm trying to go from memory, it seems like I would want to ask this person where the switch is for the seat. I've seen this a couple times now, and my assumption is that maybe the power seat's not working. I don't know. I've always seen the switch right here, and I don't know if when some of these folks are redoing the seats, if the switch doesn't work, if they just cover up that little place where it mounts. But that's something I would double check. I think the interior looks good overall. You could say, hey, I don't like, the interior because it's not original. I've seen cars that are pretty bad off that need to be redone. And if you go and you price redoing interiors, even just dyeing the dash, doing door panels, doing the seats, I mean, you would spend a lot of money doing that stuff. I know people that have spent the money. And someone can chime in here that owns a 1, 2, or 3 or has owned one. From my recollection, they're all power seats. So, again, that's kind of throwing me there. So I'm curious what I'm missing. Again, looks pretty good overall. Love the carpet. You can kind of see here again, it's not perfect. Those are things you have to make a decision if you are fine with that. And then with a lot of this is all kind of standard little bit. You'll see on all these cars, they have on these little covers, for the channel where the wiring goes. You'll always see a little surface rust. You can see in here how it looks in terms of the overspray from the paint job. Here, I'm kind of looking to see how does it look. Again, these moldings here look pretty good. And when I say moldings, I'm talking about the weather stripping. Here you can see underneath the hood, the insulation's been redone. That's key. You want to have it, people take it off, and it looks better with it there. Plus, it helps keep the heat a little bit off the outside skin of the hood. If you've got a fresh paint job, you don't want all that heat hitting up there. Going a little quicker through these, I think the engine bay looks good overall. This looks wacky to some people because without it being an AC car, and especially being an earlier year Lincoln, this is very bare in this area, believe it or not. Just kind of showing, looks like some of the hoses obviously were redone and things like that. AC compressor would be here. It's not here. You've got the 3-port, so 1, 2, 3. We know if you've watched these other videos, there's not the 2 screws up there, so that's the good thing. And then they go into some detail photos. Here it's got a little bit of overspray, just showing you, giving you some insight into, it's not perfect, but by all means, I think it looks pretty damn good. This is a car that you could get and enjoy for several years, and down the road, maybe you want to do a crazy restoration on it. Underneath the car, we've got more detailed photos, and what I could tell you is someone definitely went in here and cleaned all this up and resprayed. That I like, as long as they're not hiding things. I think it's a positive thing, because when you look at how clean all this is, I've taken a couple of these cars apart and powder coated everything, sandblasted, and had all that stuff done. But you can see here when the car's on the lift and you see the springs where they're like this, someone has gotten in here with a spray gun or some sort of, spray cans, and they've sprayed all this, okay? I like it, again, because it's showing that they've taken the time to kind of get in here and clean it and do all that. You just always want to make sure that, there's nothing that's kind of being, trying to be hidden, so to speak. Here you've got your hubcaps. They look pretty good. Not the best photo. My only thing is sometimes these are super dented. It's hard to tell if that's just the reflection of the leaves. But again, you get them, and this is, a $300-$400 value, because that's about what those things go for. You've got some handbooks. You've got the master catalog. A couple other things they're sharing. Okay, so I do want to, before I wrap this up, I know these videos do get a little bit long. I'll just say this. There's some good videos on this, okay? So I'm going to turn down my volume and just kind of show you. Basically here, you've got a short video of showing the top working, okay? There is a moment in here where you can see someone sitting in the car, so this is great. If this had been a remote top with the upgrade, you would not want to leave the car idling when you're putting this down. So there is a guy sitting in it, so good job to them. Let me close this. Go back here. All of this is, you can link right here. So you've got the guy sitting here. They show the top going up. They show the top going down. They show driving, and again, this gives you a little bit more insight into kind of the dye job that was done at some point on the dash. We'll go over here. They show driving, which is good. They show the speedometer working. Very short videos. A couple people commented they wish they would have just did a longer one, but hey, look, they did a video. This is fantastic. We want to see this kind of stuff versus nothing. You know what I mean? This is showing. They show a video here. They have the digital thermometer, but I don't really know. They kind of show 75.2. And then they kind of just walk away. So that doesn't really give too much insight as far as my understanding of what they're trying to do. Here it shows the exhaust. You can see all this being that fresh black paint. You would just, if you would have someone look at this car or you were inspecting it, you would just want to make sure that, it was just kind of a detailed paint job they did versus trying to hide anything. Here they do show the auto drop working on the one side. My only critique of this would be like, hey, show the other side, because if both are working, that's value. But again, good job showing that. And I think that was it. So in closing, I would say this does seem like a really nice car. I haven't physically seen it, But I think that the way they presented it that it's not perfect, that it wasn't a full 100-point restoration, things like that. If you go back, as I've said before, and you click here and you search Lincoln Continental, you're going to see there's two out here, a 78 and a 62. But you can also go down here and you can look at this price guide and see what are convertibles selling for. And it gives you an idea, were some of these, like the Nathan car we went over, were some of these restorations, were they just super nice cars? And I would say this car is easily going to double in the price, probably go higher. But the videos add value to it. The things that maybe take a little bit of value away, or that, some people might say, hey, I want to make sure, I wanted to have the full factory color interior. I wanted to have an AC car based upon where I live. And, or maybe, hey, I want to have someone go look at the car, but I can't, get to where they're at. And by all means, this also it's Granite Bay, California. So that's good. It's in a place where there's not, the bad rust belt and things like that, being that it's a California car. So let me know what you think. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else I missed. I just would want to make sure underneath the car is good, but it does look really clean. So kudos to them. Lots of photos. And I think we looked at all of those. Appreciate the support. Check out Lincoln Addict. .com, but you can also go here under info, how to listen, and I do have a link to the web, a link to Apple Podcast, and then if you're on a Android device, you can download Podbean and search Lincoln Addict. I think it's also on Pandora, Spotify, other channels as well, so check it out. ODB, we out of here.